Welcome, everyone. I'm Mary Conley Eggert, founder of Global Waterworks, and here with our kickoff for the Lake Lover 2024 program for Lake County. It's very exciting to be with you all, and their topic for tonight is Fueling Success and Fun, Innovating with Volunteers. What we have tonight is an amazing program, and I'll get into that in just a moment. I want to give you the context for why we're here today, because for the last 8 years, Global Waterworks has been innovating and has seen the opportunity to bring together solutions from across the world. And so you not only have Lake County resources here with you, but you have a world of water resources, as you'll see right now, in the community that will support you after tonight's program.
The water sector is growing and getting smarter, yet the challenges it is facing are also becoming more frequent. Aging infrastructure, emerging contaminants, floods, and drought impact water security, affordability, availability, and sustainability. As challenges appear to be increasing, innovation is also increasing, enabling those in search of solutions to find answers. Staying current could seem impossible unless you have a mighty network like Global Waterworks. This award-winning 501c3 charitable organization is committing to solving the global water crisis in this generation, and it has provided a user-friendly interface to connect the people, processes, and technologies who are already making water work. Browse by topics, groups, or journeys. Search the global calendar and use location settings to find members near you wherever you travel. Check out the Growing Water Tech Showcase, where you will find proven solutions accompanied by case studies. To date, we've connected 2,300 water professionals and educators across more than 90 countries. Now, social media is not for everyone, but if you care about solving the global water crisis, you'll want to dive right in and get more done faster. Help us connect drops of interest for waves of impact and start to tap a world of water experts at your fingertips. globalwaterworks.org.
So that's the background on the resource that you have available when we get out of tonight's call. What's even more incredible are the people that you are meeting. And I'm thrilled to introduce our two speakers tonight. Becky Saul, who comes to us as a sustainability expert and innovation leader and coach. She actually came up with this idea 5 years ago to have AbbVie innovate through its 50,000 employees and find solutions to our global environmental challenges, and has a track record that is incredible. Millions of dollars saved, 5 groups, cohorts who navigated through year-long programs and developed results for the organization, all without any money to start. So an amazing story about innovating with volunteers. And she's right here in Libertyville, Illinois, as is Bill Cody. Well, he's actually just moved to Grayslake, my former neighbor, developed the sustainability plan, the comprehensive plan for Libertyville. And he will acknowledge sustainability sometimes takes the second step to business development and corporate development, but he was able to engage stakeholders across the community to get buy-in on this 15-year plan, which has 5-year updates. And he'll share what that looked like and how you can replicate some of these ideas to create more fun and buy-in to your lake programs and to any of the projects that you have in mind across Lake County. And I'm thrilled to have with us Jim Bland has just arrived, but Gloria Charland, and really thrilled with the team at the Stormwater Management Commission, Port Wolford, who is here with us and supporting us with all sorts of best practices. And nearly everyone on this call has a lot to give to us in terms of insights and expertise. So you are with leaders who you can learn from in addition to our speakers. And we'll go into why we're here, what you can expect from our 10 months of engagement for this first year of Lake County Lake Lovers. We want to hear a little bit about you, and we also want to have you walk away with tips from these success stories and then have the chance to ask questions. In some past briefings, we've had everyone go around and do introductions at the start, and we found that you have so much there that we don't get to the educational content. So we've added a half hour at the end for anyone who wants to stick around and also wants to stay engaged or understand how to use the community. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Frank is moderating, and we'll just keep moving unless someone raises their hands or needs something that we haven't addressed in the content. But the reason we're here is not obvious right now because our lakes are frozen. But in about 4 months, 5 months, we're going to start to see that green creep in and realize that that sediment and the muck is preventing some of the oxygen from flowing through and from our pets and the environment sort of thriving in the way we would like to see our lakes. And many of you have seen lakes around the world, and we're not alone in this challenge. 40% of our nation's lakes are impaired. The Illinois EPA puts Illinois lakes slightly higher than that, nearly 60% impaired. These lakes that you see here are international lakes that have been treated by solutions, and the fish being bloated and dying create a crisis that requires someone to step in. Water reservoirs that aren't compliant or that can't process drinking water because they're so filled with algae require treatment and, a crisis. And also lakes that are being filled up, overcome with nutrients, they're no longer lakes. They're water reserves, or they turn into marshes and then sometimes disappear completely due to the sediment. And that's 50 years of sediment, with excess nutrients, fertilizers. All of the people on this call are well aware of the problems that are contributing to our lakes being challenged. But what's beautiful, and the reason we started Lake County Lake Lovers, is because Global Waterworks in its travels learned about a solution through an India conference where they were actually treating lakes with enzymes and aeration, oxygenation, and saw that healthy lakes were achieved. The fish were suddenly in excess and thriving, no longer with sores or bloating, and drinking water reservoirs, even for a prison, were restored. Imagine a drinking water reservoir at a prison unable to process drinking water, so you had to bring in plastic bottles. Well, that created an immediate need for a solution. So also this nutrient-filled lake suddenly became clear, and I was able to store so much more stormwater, and flooding, also control the flooding issues. So our lakes are vital to our infrastructure, but too often our built infrastructure is tended to, while our natural infrastructure is sort of left unattended to for reasons that go beyond just natural governance, but because they have multiple stakeholders, and they have a challenge to actually find who's in charge. God created our lakes, and the people who came alongside them sometimes own all of the property alongside them, so they can act, but not always. And so we understand that those of you who are working to find solutions are also challenged. And that's why the Global Waterworks community was created, because multiple stakeholders can be engaged. So what you can expect across the next 10 months is that lakes will be our focus every third Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. That data will inform our decisions. And we have 170 lakes, approximately, a list provided by SMC as well as the IEPA, and Alana Bartolai next month will talk about lake management. That in addition to data about lakes, we have data on our members, which you will see in a second, is easy to track. And we also have all of you here who contribute something unique. And we want you to know each one of you is valued for your expertise, and in the community, which you can join and you can invite others to join. The right-hand side of your screen, this is what our welcome screen looks like. And the URL for the community is this short link down below, or you can simply Google Lake County Lake Lovers and find it. But what you'll find when you go into the community is actually a working space that all of you can contribute to, and all of you can browse and access at any time, day or night. You don't have to have emails. You don't have to look up files in different places. We can store everything here. We can have discussion chats, and we can even schedule events and recruit people here into the community. And so you'll find the FAQ here. We have a poll, which we'd love for you to respond to. And Frank, if you could put the Lake Lover link into the chat, would be great for people to actually go in now if they'd like. And you can also find tools. We had Gerard Urbanozo share the Loon Lake success story on invasive weeds. There's a brochure that you can post at your HOA to let them know about the programs. You will also find members, and we aren't going to ask you today to share all your emails and your data in the chat, although you may if you want, because you can stay connected permanently with a icon within Global Waterworks, and it's part of the Lake Lover group. And you can actually share details, as Gloria has. She both, is co-chair of the Manitou Creek and also the Sierra Club Habs group. Lisa Wolford heads up ILM and has been helping with the high school, where Jennifer Kahn is restoring the shoreline. We have amazing people in this community. Svetlana Taylor works for Geosyntic. She, guys, actually helped do the monitoring, the H2O updates on the Chicago River, and is a brilliant and very friendly engineer. You'll see Matt Hickey, who's down at the Village of Libertyville, contributed to Bill Cody's comprehensive plan. And you'll see a calendar that you can access at any time, and you can add events by clicking the create button, or you can RSVP to events and you can see who else is attending. And I just want to back up here. The ILMA conference, the Illinois Lakes Management Conference, is down in Champaign on March 4th and 6th, worth marking your calendar for. But our next meeting, you can RSVP today in the community, is for February 15th. So we hope you'll RSVP and join us when Alana shares the strategies for lake management planning. And we hope also that you will consider inviting a few of your peers to that meeting. So if you could, just for today, we need you. We want to know who you are, where you are, so that your colleagues can find you. So rename yourself for your lake. And then apparently 16 lakes have RSVP'd for this group. So that represents 10% of our lakes across Lake County. So we have a good start, and we hope you will be energized and inspired by what our speakers have to share. And I'm going to turn it over now to Becky. So Becky, take it away.
Thank you, everybody. It's really a joy and a privilege to share this story with you. And I recently left AbbVie back in November. So this is still very fresh. And I'm going to tell you the story of what happened at AbbVie about 5 years ago around engaging everyday employees at AbbVie, especially the people that really had nothing to do with water, energy, or waste, and what we could create together. So the question began, how might AbbVie employees get involved to accelerate action? AbbVie back in 2015 had set public climate targets to reduce water, energy, waste, to be better stewards of those resources. And I ended up meeting a colleague back in 2018 who said, I'm given money. She had a role that worked in this space in environmental health and safety. I hand the money out to good sounding ideas at the beginning of the year. And time passes, and I circle back with everyone that received the money, and I say, so what happened? She said, Beck, it's so frustrating. I hear crickets, silence. And I said, I've been leveraging in my new innovation role a new model to foster innovation. And so we said, I've piloted this model with 350 people. What do we have to lose to see if it would work globally with 50,000 plus employees? So we put together an invitation back in June of 2019 and invited anyone at AbbVie from 170 countries to submit their best idea. What do you think AbbVie should try? And what we offered in return for doing this extra work was leadership development and support. So what do you think happened? Well, we launched with 8 teams in January of 2020. And of course, think back, who knew that a global pandemic was sure coming around the corner? And if that wasn't enough of a challenge, sure to squash something brand new like this, AbbVie back in May of 2020 also did a very large pharma acquisition of Allergan Aesthetics. But what I'm really pleased to share is that Spark Innovation Accelerator thrived and went on to become this annual global opportunity. And it works like a funnel. It starts by inviting everyone around AbbVie to dream their big ideas and to submit those. And every idea is taken seriously. After those ideas are reviewed, we don't have the resources to do everything. We narrow it down to the best 20. And then I would get involved and teach those teams how to pitch their idea like Shark Tank to a set of executives that I had recruited. The judges would listen to all the pitches, and then we would identify the winners. And then that's where we'd really roll up our sleeves, if you want to advance the slide, and help take an idea and move it into a project, right? With a beginning, a middle, and an end, with a destination of success. And we would then support those winning teams through a 10-month action phase to pilot their idea. And then at the end, we would celebrate impact. So as Spark unfolded, we have seen a wonderful success story, right? If you advance the slide, in that first year of 2020, we had 110 ideas from 20 countries, selected 8 winning teams. It went on to become an annual program. And in year 2, in 2021, we had 200 ideas and selected 13 teams. And in year 3, we had another 13 teams. And last year in 2023 was year 4. And if we go to that next slide, we picked 17 teams, and really pleased that we had teams from China and New Zealand participating. You can see with the colors here that teams were working in various areas, reducing energy, reducing water. I will say water was the toughest area, waste, as well as increasing engagement. And like Mary alluded, right? What came of this? Was this just hold hands and sing Kumbaya? No, actually. So if we go on and advance the slide, in general, and I've got a couple specific examples, we saw reductions in teams' ideas actually working, right? We saw increases in engagement and of course, expanding the number of teams and geography. We saw AbbVie's carbon footprint go down and the universal measuring stick saving money, right? That always would open leaders' attention, right? And pocketbooks as the success of Spark started to really grow. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to tell you some stories of actual Spark teams. This team is based in Singapore. It's a manufacturing area for biologics. And their goal was to take single-use giant plastic bags. If any of you in Lake County have been to Mickey Finn's and seen that giant, like 2-story tank, something like that is used to make biologics. And giant plastic bags are used one time so that everything is sterile. And this team said, instead of just throwing those away, what if we could clean those and repurpose those into diesel fuel? So that image there of that green container is of a truck that partnered to carry that waste away and convert it to prevent new oil from being drilled. And you can see some pictures of the team in Singapore that worked on that. If we go to the next example, this was a really special team. This team had spent 5 years knocking on doors, proverbially trying to get leadership to let them pilot their idea. And they were told they were crazy and it would never work. It was just an academic paper. And the idea was, could we inspire or create chemical reactions instead of using solvents by using mechanical force? This team had read some academic papers and thought it would be possible. And it was a team based in Germany and in North Chicago collaborating. And in that first year, they demonstrated success of the pilot and went on to continue to carry this idea forward. Every single year that I was involved in Spark, they continued to make progress, getting closer and closer to building it full scale. If we go on to the next slide, I just wanted to mention that AbbVie included the Spark program when they submitted an application to the US Department of Energy to be recognized as an Energy Star company. And the Department of Energy was so impressed with Spark that they invited me and my colleague to present to 75 other companies about how Spark worked and how AbbVie is engaging their employees. So I want to transition now from those stories of success to things that you can grab onto and carry with you. Begin when you're engaging your other volunteers, right? And I'll just pause and say all the people that participated in Spark were just everyday employees that did Spark on top of their AbbVie job, right? So they took on extra work. How did we make this opportunity attractive? Well, this approach is not mine. I'm taking it from changecatalyst.com. Check out that site because it teaches how to engage people's hearts, their brains, and their hands, right? We need to we need to help create an opportunity so people really want to do it, right? It sounds fun. It sounds exciting. It sounds cool, right? They get it. It's logical. They understand how it either connects to strategy or connects to something that they value. And then you equip them with very specific instructions to know how, right? Specifically, what are they supposed to do by when? Very clear instructions. All right. Then, if we go to the next slide, it's also really important to put a definition, a timeline, right? If you just say, look, you have for the rest of your life to wander about, and maybe someday you'll get to this, I guarantee that no one's going to reach the finish line, right? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 3 months? Is it 3 years? Put a stake in the ground, commit to that, and then see what happens, right? Number 2, I cannot emphasize enough. This is a huge failure point. Write down, what does done look like? And if you're working with a team of leaders, compare notes because most of the time there's different visions of success. And this is a great opportunity to align those visions, right? Make sure you can measure this definition. And perhaps somebody wants to do something the size of your coffee cup. Maybe somebody wants to do something the size of your bathtub. And maybe somebody wants to do something the size of the local swimming pool, right? You can have small, medium, and large versions. That's okay, but tackle the smallest one first. Learn what works and what doesn't, and then expand. All right, number 3, set at least one goal per chunk. What do I mean by a chunk? Well, if you're working in weeks, each week you set a goal. If you're working in months, each month set a goal. If you're working in a year or greater, set quarterly goals, okay? So I'm going to brush my teeth every day this week, all right? Every single day I'm going to check in on my little checklist. Did I brush my teeth, right? I'm being simplistic here. So you're going to set the goals, and this also is super important. Hold yourself, hold your team accountable to saying, hey, how did it go, right? Don't wait until the 11th hour, right? And then try to cram it all in. If it's a week, check in at the end of the week, etc. All right, number 5, visibility, transparency was essential for getting Spark up and off the ground, right? It wasn't just me trying to squeak from the mountaintop to a vast, giant organization, right? We built an internal website with beautiful visuals to tell the stories, to put up why each of the projects that won mattered, what their vision of success was. Every team had 10 months. They set goals for each of those months. And the rules at Spark were every team had to have at least one goal per month and no more than 3. This wasn't do 500 things in a month because we knew people's time and energy, particularly when they're volunteers, is very precious. Don't waste it. The most important thing, get that done, all right? Make it visible so people can see what the intent is and then report back and say, yep, check the box, we did it. Nope, something got in the way. We have to move that goal to next month. All right, so that's measuring results and making it visible. So in summary, just like we're doing here in Lake County Lake Lovers, each of us has unique strengths and talents. See if you can steer your team to use each person's strengths, right? Let writers write, let speakers speak, let doers do. Don't expect more from others than you expect of yourself. That's really important as a leader. Hopefully that goes without saying. And leverage those free tools of transparency and accountability. Thank you so much, Mary, for an opportunity to share that Spark story, and I'll give you the floor to introduce Bill.
Yeah, well, isn't that fun? I mean, and amazing. So succinct, Becky. We really appreciate your giving thought to it and making us aware of this international success story right down the road here at AbbVie, which has fueled millions in savings as well as a better resource management across AbbVie. So thank you. And Becky is someone you'll hear from across our whole year. So if you have questions or thoughts for her, please put them in the chat. And Bill Cody, I'm going to turn it over to you. I also want to recognize, Bill, that you are were on the founding floor. You were at the first meeting for Lake Lovers. When you knew about a solution, you said, hey, we've got to make something happen. And then you tapped Mark O'Brien, and the two of you said, hey, we'll co-chair this organization. And fortunately, a bunch of other people have come alongside. We hope you all will stand up and take a role in leading different groups and regions of the county or areas of expertise. And Len, I just want to say Jim Bland has already volunteered to help with our citizen science initiative. So thank you for that. But Bill, I'm turning it over to you and your amazing story about the Libertyville Comprehensive Plan, which you are recognized for here.
Well, thank you, Mary. First of all, I want to say, Becky, that's a wonderful program that you developed for AbbVie, and I'm certainly sure that we can utilize a lot of the tools that you have developed with our Lake County Lake Lovers. It's fantastic. Absolutely. Big heart. Great job. My background, of course, is very extensive in water. I started out in the early 90s as a lake leader for the Lake Association up in Wisconsin through Stevens Point University of Wisconsin. And I've done a lot of work up there on invasive species, clean boats, clean water. Along with that, my interest in water became such that I opened up a water treatment company dealing primarily with cooling towers and how to save water for companies in their use and not wastewater in industrial and commercial uses. I had sat on the Libertyville Plan Commission from 2002 through 2018 and helped see our village through a tremendous time of growth in the Planning Commission and in the Zoning Board. And I was in charge of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I've seen a lot of governmental issues come to the table and how really people's voices are very, very important in determinations on how we lead our communities moving forward. So when we did this comprehensive plan, it was a visionary guideline. It was a 2-year process. And what we did was that we reviewed with citizen input, what did we want our village to look like? What the community should be involved in? And that took in almost every format of the village: schools, residential, commercial, traffic, and it really was focused on future development. As you have seen, actually, some of these developments starting to come into play over the next 15 years. With that, part of it was sustainability. And I would have to say there was probably 150 pages on development, business interaction, residential, schools. There might have been a paragraph on sustainability. So it's a part of our plan, but it really has gotten lost in governmental action and development. And that is really where the citizens of Lake County need to come into play. And basically, you know, we listen to the priorities and we plan to support them at the community level with our municipalities. But as we move forward as our own group, a lot of the information that we get is not acted upon. And so we need to have a committed and consistent group of volunteers to really make things happen. Don't expect your municipality to come to you and say, this is what we're going to do with your lake. It's not going to happen. We, as a group of citizen scientists and interested volunteers, have to really move forward and make it happen so that we know that our municipalities and ourselves and can make a change in our lakes. This starts actually, I think, by public action and development of a steering committee to really develop the direction. When I first started this with Mary a year ago, we really were looking at what do we want to be in a visionary statement. It was still to be formed. And now we're moving forward closer and closer to a vision and a direction. But now we need volunteers to be part of it, to help develop the direction, focus those actions, and really do an implementation of those actions that we need to do, which is a wonderful example of what Becky did with her Sparks program. And for all of you who are interested in reading, I attended 2 years ago a 3-day seminar down in Chicago on fostering sustainable behavior, which is an introduction to community-based planning. A lot of what Becky did, she probably didn't even read this book, but she could have written it. So it's really amazing how much of what she has developed, it stays into this little book by Doug Mackenzie Moore. And from that, this book is really where we need to put our roadmap. We need to look at it from attention to action. We have to stop, just look at ourselves and say, we need to do more than just be an information campaign. We need to really get this community supported and directed to action. We have to build that community and municipal support. Being on the Plan Commission, I've worked also on basically the Sustainability Commission in Libertyville, and I can tell you that there's a need for education. And the messaging that comes from that will help develop more community-based action. And then those actions, we hope, will start making behavioral changes in people. How many years ago was it that, we just threw our garbage out? Now we all have recycling cans. That is an action of behavioral change. And we need to do that with our lakes. And we really need to get implementation of actions, because every lake has a different problem. I would say from my small little problems here with my ponds in my HOA is that we have extremely large issues with the bottoms of the ponds because they are rubber, and the rubber is starting to come up and air is getting underneath, which these ponds are not exactly for aesthetic. They're made for function. So there's action that needs to be done. And to that of the lake who has got HABs, where you've got a very bad bloom. And I know that Grays Lake had one this past year that closed down the beach several times, in fact. And I know a lot of the golf courses had problems last year because it was a different type of climate that we had. So there are ways that these changes come to happen. And I'll tell you, one of the best ones is at the high school. They change behavior at the high school. A bunch of students saw that fish kill in the lake, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, and they were upset. And so they went to their teachers and said, how did this happen? And a teacher there named Jennifer Kahn took this under her wing and developed an environmental science class. And right now it's probably one of the best in our county. And I can guarantee you that the students that go through that program are just not looking at the outcomes of their high school education, but looking to take that into their professional careers. So those are really some of the things that we need to do as a public action group. I'm really looking for people in a steering committee. What your interests and how it can be useful to us would be so exciting to work around. Just like we did with the comprehensive plan, is a group of citizens that got together and really worked together for a plan that actually was the state award winner. And so Libertyville can be very proud of that award that was done by its citizenry. So with not even looking at this any further, the Department of Energy uses the sustainability model in what they do in their marketing of change to the public. So you can see that they have They select behaviors, identify the barriers, and this is where a lot of the programs stop because then they just become information. And so, hello,
Sorry.
want to put me back on that one for a second there, please?
Yeah, yeah,
It looks like a happy family.
are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay,
So,
great.
so these are, as I was saying, identify barriers or benefits. It turned out to be infomercials. We need to get beyond that. We need to go really into strategies, pilot testing them, and doing a broad implementation. Basically, again, it's Becky's program that has worked so successfully at Abby. We can do it with our own citizenry here in Lake County. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mary.
Yeah, well, Bill, amazing. And I'm so proud to be part of seeing what happens in Libertyville as also a member of our Lake County Lake Lovers. Her family started the Main Street Libertyville movement, which we know was successful because of 30 years of focused attention to baby steps, baby steps that turn into a whole community. And same with Kurt Wolford's and the Stormwater Management Commission addressing buying up wetland areas, and bit by bit you make a difference and you build a movement that eradicates the problems that we have. We believe the same can be true of our lakes, and all of you are here. What I'm going to do is just stop sharing and open it up. Actually, we have a Q&A, and we'll just have everyone able to raise their hand with specific questions because we're an intimate group here. I invite you to just unmute and ask away. You have anything for our group? And Ida, go ahead.
Could put in a little bit about the volunteer lake monitoring program and its status.
Yeah, we could do that. If you want to just give a quick 1 minute on that, and then we can do it at the top of the hour after we're done with this discussion, Jim, because I know it's pretty in depth. And we also want to host a bi-weekly session on February 1. We'll do an introduction to that. So why don't you just tell us basically what
one of the things that is ongoing right now, I'm working with Alana Bartoli and people from CMAP, and what existed for a period of time. Bill talked about volunteer efforts. What existed for a period of time was something called the Volunteer Lake Monitoring Program. In 2019, the state decided to kill it. Well, that's a great irony because it involved having citizen scientists monitor their lake. And there were 150 lakes, Illinois-wide. The Lake County Health Department actively worked with the Volunteer Lake Monitoring Program. And it was a very, very useful, important way to monitor the character of the different lake communities, including communities in Libertyville. It represented a way for the IEPA to leverage their resources with the use of all sorts of volunteer programs. There is a letter that potentially is going to go forward to the Illinois Environmental Council with the hope of, in May, making a very, very concerted effort to get legislators to reauthorize the program for IEPA. And it would be a way for the lake lovers, if they're interested, to be able to start to get resources to go back to help with their lake management, whatever that might be.
Yeah, thank you for your leadership on that, Jim.
Okay.
Mary, can I make a comment on that, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
So, Jim, what Wisconsin does is they have a lake monitoring program as well, but they send it into the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point. Our lake has got out data for the last 10 years where we do a spring test and a fall test. And so we have been monitoring our lake for that period of time, which makes it extremely important to continue that on a regular basis because the data changes. The lake that we have up north has really gained more sediment over a period of time since we started doing this. And it seems to be that we're on the tipping point of really maybe some issues in regards to the biologicals in our fishery. So I think it's pretty important that, yeah, we move forward with some sort of a lake monitoring program. And, you know, I don't know who would be doing the testing. Maybe we could contact the College of Lake County. I doubt if the state's going to have the health department do it unless the health department steps up. But it would be really interesting to get a track record of our lakes. It's a good measurement step that we need to move forward with.
Mary, can I respond?
Sure, go ahead.
Bill, the county coordinated with the volunteer lake monitoring program for years. And that doesn't mean that the character of the monitoring can't be supplemented or modified and changed. But what it means is what was taking place was the Lake County Health Department, in conjunction with IEPA, was providing services to a large majority of the lakes in Lake County at that time. One quick aside. One of the things that I started and did work on was Prairie Crossing and Lake Leopold. And Lake Leopold and Sanctuary Pond represent the first successful sanctuary for endangered and threatened fish species in Illinois. There's also, and Gloria is here, Gloria Charland from Long Lake. The people from Long Lake elaborated on what the volunteer lake monitoring program was, added additional materials to it. So what the volunteer lake monitoring program wound up being a starting point for people to do problem solving for their lake community, including those lakes in Libertyville, or at least some of them.
And the need for measurement is absolutely essential, as Kathy O'Brien's on the line and was there at our Green Drinks presentation, where everyone thought they had the worst lake in the county because they see that lake, they see the problems it has, but for the county and for investment to occur or to understand which lake needs treatment, we need something that would provide some sort of apples to apples comparison as best that could be. You know, maybe it's something was proposed last year at ILMA, but I'd like to hold off on digging into specific chapters or groups and make sure we give our panelists and this initial thought on how do we engage volunteers, because each one of you I know is leading an effort that would be so much richer if you had a bunch of volunteers whom you could delegate to and who could help you with fundraising and other things. So other thoughts, Gloria, maybe you could share what has been so successful about you engaging the volunteers right there at Manitou Creek. You have regular meetings and always a wonderful agenda. I know that's key.
We coordinate with a lot of other organizations, and we coordinate with the Manitou Creek Drainage District. I would say that's where we get our volunteers.
Yeah, a very focused group, staying local, knowing you can all impact. And Gloria was a wonderful contributor to a grant application we did here. And Bill Cody actually said, who is that woman who did such a great job, understood grant writing? So she does great work. Has anyone else had a wonderful success story? I know Tom Leonard, who handles Great Lakes, and the 50th anniversary of the Great Lakes is here, and he coordinated people across the whole Great Lakes to take pride and share what was working with the Clean Water Act celebration. What was
Yeah.
the secret there, Tom?
Well, I was just gonna say, a lot of you guys are mentioning the science of the lakes. What we recognized in the 50th commemoration of the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement was the cultural connections, that a lot of folks don't have that scientific fixation, but may have connections to writing, the arts, poetry, who can kind of lend a larger voice to the water system. So yeah, we initiated about, 2022 was the, 50th anniversary. Subsequent to that, we developed what's called the Great Lakes Odyssey Radio Hour, and that features music of the Great Lakes, poetry. We did a recent interview with Peter Frankopan, a scholar from Oxford who wrote the authoritative history of climate, and that was quite a coup. But beyond the radio hour, we're also developing educational opportunities. And when I talked to Mary most recently was the idea of field trips. Field trips used to be a mainstay in our education process, but because of No Child Left Behind, there has been such a tremendous emphasis on testing that has taken a little bit of the wayside. So we're developing in Saginaw Bay what's called Saginaw Bay Adventures, where we're looking at, we're going to be working with the STEM and other folks on the historical side, but to identify sites of interest in the Saginaw Bay area, also to identify mentors. That would be people who are passionate about the arts or scientists who could meet with children at these sites, and then sharing this work online so that kids could have a sense of a regional watershed identity. Now, I've talked to Mary about this, and what's so fascinating is there's so many examples of field trips across the world that wouldn't it be interesting if we could create a database of innovative field trips that we could share with other communities that have important watersheds. So yeah, I just want to kind of give a summary on that. We're having our first meeting on the field trip initiative on February the 7th, but we've got a tremendous interest here in the Saginaw Bay region and also folks from the state level as well. So that's kind of a quick summary, Mary.
Yeah, great summary, Tom. And
Yeah.
in truth, that's what the community is all about, aggregating insights and tools, just like SMC has done with best management practices, so people can share them and use them, and everyone can contribute. So we really value that, Tom, that you came to us. And Stacy Pine has a great story. She is doing a cardboard sledding thing this weekend, but she's also planning a great program for Earth Day and for cleanup along the Fox River. Maybe you could share, Stacy, how you engage volunteers over at Island Lake.
Well, as part of the Parks Lake Commission, we don't have a very big staff, so it's all done by volunteers. We really don't have staff to turn things over to, and we're trying to get people more vested in the park, more interested, rather than everything that we hear being negative, right? So last year we started this cardboard sled race, and we all know what trying to plan a winter event is like. But we got the snow, so this Saturday we're going to make a go of it. It's just a fun way to get out. And, I have to laugh. I can't tell you how many texts I've gotten. What's the charge? What's the charge? What's the fee? And it's like, it's your park, right? It's volunteers putting this together. And I connected with the schools, the two Island Lake schools, so Matthews and Cotton Creek, and I'm working with their STEM teachers to make it a STEM project. And probably next year we'll expand more into the Wakanda schools. Again, it's only our second year. It's hard to plan an event when you don't know if it's going to actually snow. And then this year we also added a workshop. So at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, we're just going to go through the basics of a basic cardboard sled. You can tell people to go on YouTube and look, and nobody's going to do it. So we'll do a few YouTube videos. We've got the cardboard donated through Graph Pack, a local business. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And then we just set our calendar for next year. And last year we started an expo, an Earth Day expo, very well attended for the first time. And already we have people reaching out. And I was telling Mary, and this is where you guys all come in. We want to add some seminars about different topics that we keep getting just, we're accused of thinking that we're scientists and who told us that this was true. And so, okay, you want to do that. You want to come listen to the experts. So we'd like to do a session on HAB. We want to talk about the sediment levels in the lake. We want to talk about the new water gator that we just bought. And we're trying to maybe do just 3 or 4 mini sessions for the public. And again, I think this goes back to that whole idea of how do you get people vested, right? Everybody's an expert and they don't even know half of it. So I think educating people is going to be that first step to get the buy-in that we're not claiming to be experts. We happen to work with an excellent lake management company called Integrated Lakes Management. We're not making this stuff up just to make everybody's life miserable. But I really do think that these seminars are going to add a nice component to our Earth Day Expo on the 20th of April.
Yeah, definitely. And Stacy, you can tell Stacy's positive vibe. She's very inclusive, knows that it's an uphill battle. We don't have funds, we don't have volunteers quite often, but you can find them if you put the word out or if you can share in a community. And that's what Lake Lovers is all about. So Becky, yes.
I'd just like to build on this conversation. As a leader of volunteers, you have influence.
Yeah.
You can believe, you can show enthusiasm, and your energy ripples out to others. And then you can deliver when you promise, right? So if you're going to do a sledding event, you're going to do everything within your power with the resources that you have to make it special. Maybe someone's taking some pictures. Maybe there's a storyteller that shares these pictures or a picture and a couple sentences with the local newspaper, right? And this ripples out to say, wow, this area might be a fun place to move to, right? It just grows in places that you don't expect it to, right? So don't underestimate your positive energy. Don't underestimate how important it is to do what you say you're going to do and do storytelling. Celebrate your successes, whatever size, small, medium, or large. Sounds wonderful.
The other thing I want to add is at the expo last year, I mean, we have got like 30 parks in Island Lake where it was built as a subdivision on a lake. Every little neighborhood had a park, right? They're small. So at the expo last year, Eric Acevedo came up with the idea to start an Adopt a Park program. And people signed up and we rang the bell and we got like 30 or 40 people. And then kind of what you were talking about before, set those small goals and make sure you hit them. We kind of fell behind and people were calling, well, I don't really know what we're supposed to do. Well, you're supposed to do cleanup days, but we didn't organize any, right? They were more spur of the moment. So when we set our schedule just at the beginning of the month, we set our cleanup days a year in advance so that those people know that there's something organized where they're volunteering to adopt a park is going to come to fruition. They're not going to just be waiting to find out what's going on. And I think that's really an important thing is set your goals. And
Stacy, if I can jump in, when you gave those dates and you explained it's a cleanup, you were equipping the hands. You were letting people know, don't just say, oh yeah, I want the parks, but you're equipping the hands. It's specifically what I want you to do. I want you to show up at your park at 10 o'clock on this date with a trash bag. And then we're going to have a competition between all the parks and who can gather the most trash. Submit your picture and we're going to give silly awards. Obviously the park that has the cleanest and the least amount of trash, and look at the one that did the most work and collected the most, right? And maybe there's the rubber chicken or some sort of silly award that gets rotated to the park team year over year, right? And
Oh,
it
that's a nice
becomes,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember a long time ago, I didn't have any money. I went to the grocery store and I bought a couple rutabagas, which are very strange looking vegetables. I put some glue stick on them and I rolled them in glitter. And these became the coveted award. People had these on their desk. And what is that all about, right? It was a great storytelling mechanism. So, anyways, there's always things we can do with just a little creativity and fun. And think about what behaviors you want to incentivize, back to what Bill was talking about, right? And then just pull that thread all the way through and have fun with it. Learn what works. Oh my goodness, that was a flop. That didn't work. Next time we do it, we can change that and do it a little differently. And how wonderful that we have this community where we can learn from each other's successes and oops, so that we can build on that and avoid the pitfalls.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I just want to share um, uh, the brochure that you all have available to you. And Monica Contreras is going to share in a moment from Boy Scouts what they can do. But in honor of your, to honor our 8 o'clock time, I want you to know that this is available online. You can all go download it, post it in your HOAs. It shares 9 ways you can improve your lakes today. Everyone can make a difference just by stopping salting. And then each one of you can be the change. And if you don't know how to log in, I'm going to hang out for the next half hour and make sure everyone can log in and navigate the Lake Lover group. We hope you'll RSVP for the February 15th event, can help you with your profile, and you'll find the beautiful people, Lisa Wolford, Becky, and most people already have profiles in the community, but we want to see your pictures so that we can remember each other, and also whatever your interests are so that we connect for the right reasons. And if you can, bring along 2 to 3 neighbors to join you, and let us know, if you could, in the chat, what you liked about what you heard tonight. Just say, I like this. If you could, it would really help our speakers and for us to plan for future meetings. And then I want to see more of this. If you could all just put in the chat right now to help us. And Lisa Wolford was referenced. She's been instrumental in also setting up events. So I just want to honor everyone's time and say thank you very much. A huge round of applause to Bill and to just the amazing speakers, Becky, so great. And Robin, thank you. Chat. So hey, you guys, great job. And now we're going to go into discussion, and anyone's welcome to stick around and stay. And Frank, thank you for joining us late hours there in Atlanta or in Georgia. So raise your hand if you'd like to comment. But Monica, you're with the Boy Scouts, and you said you want to know about places where they can lend a hand, and we so appreciate that. So tell us.
Yes. So I have been involved in Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts for, I want to say, the past about 12 years. And I've seen a great shift in, the volunteerism and, the access to, things that we could do in the community to make a change drastically, especially after COVID, because we really struggled with kids staying interested in the program. A lot of our fundamentals of Boy Scouting and Cub Scouting, it really revolves around volunteering and, just being aware, being sustainable in the community, and, staying informed and everything. And what I really would like to do is develop more educational programs. And like Bill and Becky and Tom and Stacy had said, it's nice. We really have to figure out a way to really create an outreach to the younger kids. And I think, because I think we would have more success in the long run, having programs actually stay, such as, some of the things that we've talked about earlier. One of the main things that I saw was, when we first moved in the community, there was a big, composting was a big thing in our community. And, our village did composting. People would post, that they had, different areas and you know, that they would do composting and there would be education about that. But that has all since faded, I feel, even at the community college level, which in turn then really steers the interest of our youth from the importance of it, and especially the water. I mean, water is so fundamental in our life in general. And I really don't feel that there's a lot of urgency placed in the importance of, you know, sustaining clean water, checking the water, and programs like that. And I really like to work with the youth, and I connect well with, you know, kids as, you know, young as 4 or 5 years old, and you know, up until they're, you know, in high school and going into adulthood. And especially with Boy Scouts, there's like Eagle Scout projects. I mean, that is all volunteering and, you know, getting the community involved and being recognized for a change that you made in the community. So I'm really excited to, you know, learn a lot from you guys and be able to develop programs that we can then take back to our, not just our local Boy Scout troops, but then expand, you know, even on a, you know, regional level and, you know, hopefully a national level as well.